Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Senor Nerd Podcast. I have here with me Raul,
Howdy, howdy.
Ramon,
Hey guys.
and we're here to talk about the final episode of Demon Slayer Swordsmith Village Arc. And man, I'm excited to talk about this one, and we'll possibly even talk about the whole season in general, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But guys, I would be lying to you if I didn't tell you that at a certain point in this episode, I was crying. Um, and for anybody that doesn't know, yesterday was Father's Day here in the U.S. So even though this episode's not sponsored by Corona, I had 10 Corona. So that could have been a little bit why I started crying. At least that's what I'm blaming it, because men don't cry. So just wanna throw that out there. But I'm very excited to talk about the episode. Raul, tell us what you thought about it.
It was good. So it actually felt shorter than what it really was. And I think that's probably a good thing. But yeah, I could have used more of the episodes being this long, or less episodes, but more of them being this long. But it was good. It was interesting. There was fighting. The animation was gorgeous as usual. So, but you kind of got to see more of it, which was a plus. And then you had those emotional moments. My son was actually watching with me, and then he started crying too.
Oh, well, that just tells you that I have the heart of an 8-year-old.
Well, I was going to say, I call bullshit on that man don't cry. I think it would actually be pretty funny if we had a tear counter every time we did an episode and be like, how many tears did you cry this episode? I'd be like, all of them. I have no more tears. But no, yeah, I really liked the show. Actually, you know what? First impression, I was a little disappointed. And then again, just first impression, because I was like, oh man, like I just feel like it could have been more grandiose. It could have been like, I don't know, even though we've been following this fight for so long already, I'm like, oh, we could have had more of the fight. Because even though there is some good action in there, I still kind of I was like, man, I feel like there could just be more, right? But then I kind of went back and I just thought about it. And then I rewatched it one more time. And then I was like, what am I talking about? This was a great episode. Because then I kind of took it from a different perspective. I took it for where the episode actually was and kind of more so what it's leading up to for the next arc. And I think that's the most exciting about it, right? Like anyone that saw it, is just more about like kind of the future of Demon Slayer, more so than this one. We're kind of just burying this arc out of the way and then moving on to the next one. So yeah, overall, I really enjoyed it.
No, man. No, go ahead.
I in a way, I do agree. I feel like this was more of a like transition type of arc, but in a way, it kind of seems kind of a waste to go through the fourth and fifth demon or whatever in a just like kind of transition arc. I don't know.
I mean, we'll save it because I definitely want to talk about Muzan. But that library scene when he's kind of his back is turned against against the ladies that come in, his mom. I thought he was gonna be like pissed off that two of his upper demons were like killed. It's like, oh my god, like this guy's about to call Akasa in and be like, start whipping him. But no, totally different approach. But yeah, no. That was cool. We'll talk about that. That was for me one of my favorite parts of whole Muzan.
Yeah, I know. We'll definitely have to touch up on that.
Yeah, all I really wanted to say, man, a lot of people have been listening to us do a review of every episode. So I really want to appreciate everybody that's been listening to us. We have a lot of great episodes. And if you just started with, listening to us watching Demon Slayer, definitely go back in the library because you'll find some good ones. So I really appreciate it. And if you're not already doing it, please like us, please follow us, please give us 5 stars because that's definitely going to keep us going. And we have a lot of good stuff coming up. We have Jujutsu Kaisen Season 1 review, Bleach Season 1, the 1,000-Year Blood War review coming up. So we have a lot of good stuff for you guys. And honestly, if you want us to do anything, to Raul, just tell us what it is. And as long as we have his consent, I'm 100% sure that we can do it to him. Even if you don't get his consent, we might be able to somehow do whatever you want, depending what it is. But again, really excited for all of you guys, all these new followers that we've got. So, let's continue with the review. No more of that.
Why me?
Because people love you, Ro. You're like, there's a Reddit about you already. I haven't told you about it, but it's mostly me. But there's already a Reddit.
Things I want to do to Raul. ... No, I mean, well, yeah. So then what? Like the episode starts with like the continuation of that fight, right? Like they're trying to get that little pain demon or the fear demon at this point, right? which we're kind of excited because here we are, we're with Tanjiro, Nezuko, and Genya, and they're chasing after this little guy. They're coming really, really close, and then right off the back, like I think Tanjiro, they're showing all their efforts. They're doing everything they can to really stop him, and then at one point, what's up?
No, the one thing that I think was missing from that whole part when they were chasing fear, like the fear of the main body one, was the Benny Hill thing that they had in when he first came out.
Bro, you almost made me spill my drink because I was gonna say that. Dude, we're so connected right now, bro. Like I was gonna say, like the music, the sound. Yes, 100% agree with you. Oh my god,
and going, and it was just one of those like chases that wouldn't freaking end. And then to top it off, freaking Tanjiro. Then all of a sudden, it's like, oh yeah, my foot's hurt. By the way, I totally forgot about this. This was like, what?
I've been running, and after it was completely crushed, but.
And then that was pretty cool though, because then he basically hears Zenitsu in his head, and Zenitsu is like describing to him his like the way that he does his like thunder breathing, and it was basically refocus all your energy, all your focus to the one part of your body you want to really affect, and he freaking Zenitsu's out without taking a nap, and then he freaking jolts out of there, which I love that though because they had the cool lightning animation, so it was pretty cool. I don't know if he's kind of like getting a little bit of that like lightning part of it, but it was definitely that thunder breathing.
Well, yeah. First of all, like a little bit of Zenitsu goes a long way, man. So even just a little piece of him, like really made me happy, honestly. And then I did like the fact that like we get a throwback to like him talking about his master, and it's like his master told him that like, hey, in order for you to really be considered like you have full breathing concentration, you have to have full control, like control of your body parts. So I really like that because that tells you that like, I don't know if any of the Hashiras have that level of control, but that's really cool, man. I really like that we got that explanation as viewers. And then I always forget that Zenitsu, the reason why he looks yellow or he's totally blonde is because he got hit by lightning. So even though we didn't see that, it just reminded me like, oh yeah, this dude's like, was never like 100% blonde. It's just a lightning hit him. So I always kind of think that's kind of funny.
Dude, and the other thing too that I realized when he did that. So I don't know if you guys remember that episode. I don't remember when it was when they were talking about all the different types of breathing that there is. Yeah, and they said that everything kind of started off from the sun breathing.
It did.
So I think Tanjiro is going to be the only one that's going to be able to do any type of breathing at some point because he can already. Well, the first one that he learned was the water breathing. And then he did the fire breathing, and then he started doing the sun breathing type thing, and then like now he did the thunder breathing. So like I think at one point he's gonna like develop pretty much all the breathings. But he's going to be the only one that's going to be able to do it because he's like a sun breather or whatever.
Yeah, like I could totally see him misting out, like Tokido, Muchiro. He
misting out.
Yeah, I could totally see mist coming out of his back. But no, that's a good point. And like, if you ever catch those flashback scenes where it starts with a sun breather and then it's like you see all these Hashiras, it's because they're telling you like he was the first ones, and then all these other techniques came out of him. So it's kind of cool, man. And I think that's where the next season's going to go, because I don't know if you guys saw, but they already did a trailer for the next season, which is going to be the training arc, the Hashira training arc. So that's going to be a little bit cool, man. You're going to definitely learn everything about these Hashiras. Yeah, there's a trailer for it too. Like, it doesn't give you much, just kind of like a picture of each Hashira, but it's something to get you excited for the next 3 years or 2.
Right. Hopefully not that long. Yeah.
That's the good and the bad thing about the animation in the show. Like, it's gorgeous, and it's like, it has the best animation out of any anime, but I bet you it takes forever to animate.
Yeah. I mean, as long as they're not doing like full CGI, I'm okay with that. I'll allow it.
That's what kind of makes me nervous, is just kind of like with the time that it's going to take to make the next one, what kind of crazy stuff they're going to start doing, which, if they pull some like Across the Spider-Verse like techniques, I'm okay with that, but nothing too crazy.
As long as they don't cut any corners.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Dude, what did you guys think when like they finally did catch up to the demon, and then I'm talking about when Tanjiro's like slicing him, and then all of a sudden he grows. Like, did you guys get like taken back by that? That was
absolutely
cool.
I mean, what? Yeah. And then part of the thing with that is that not only did he grow, but he was like a different demon altogether again, and that was like the big surprise out of that
But
whole like battle.
but
Yeah.
we didn't know at the time. Like even I was like kind of like thinking like, oh shit, like he could have done this from the beginning. So that was kind of cool. Though. And he almost did like Game of Thrones where he almost got the Red Viper, and like I was waiting for like Tanjiro's skull to be like crushed, man. And it, technically, if we were watching a different show, maybe it could have happened. But you know, he's our main protagonist.
No, would have won that.
Well, yeah, but then that's kind of why the other like everybody else showed up. Whatever demon slayer
Genya?
guy,
Genya, yeah, Genya saved the day.
Yeah, and then his sister showed up, and everybody was trying to like save him.
I found it funny that her blood was actually hurting Genya, and I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's a demon.
But bad.
And I missed it the first time too. That Genya actually ripped off his arms completely, because like it took me a second. Then all of a sudden, as the big demon is kind of running, I'm just like, wait a minute, he has no arms. Like, who took him? And then I rewound a little bit, and I'm like, oh, freaking Genya when he freaking pried him off. But you know, it's like the animation was like too crazy that I kind of missed it, because you know he's sitting here pried it off, and there was like explosion of blood and things, and then the next thing you know, yeah, dude is running with no arms, which kind of good for him being that big and then no arms.
Well, dude, something that I love in this anime, and I don't see it too often in other animes, it's like when these guys are battling and they're getting hurt, like their faces are completely covered in blood. Like it happened to Rengoku. Tengen lost an arm, his face was covered in blood. Tanjiro, by the end of this, is like bloody animation. Like it's not like he just wipes it off and it's gone. It's like he just has like this bloody ass face. And if you ever look up like most popular like tattoos, Demon Slayer, it's always a character that's like bleeding from his face, because I think that's what people like. Even myself, like I started looking for like Tanjiro tattoos, and the ones that I want is one with him like covered in blood, because I think it just looks super cool. So that's another appreciation that I have for this show, because nobody else is doing that type of like level of blood, at least from what I can remember just based on my watches.
Yeah, and it definitely is different for this. I kind of get a little bit of Sam Raimi type of vibes with some of that.
I mean, you already have demons that are like laughing and kind of joking as they're like freaking dying and stuff. So yeah, very, very Evil Dead kind of vibes. I don't know, out of that like area or like that part of the show, I thought it was like something funny too, is when, you know, ultimately they're a little bit unsuccessful about that, and then Tanjiro's down there and he's kind of wanting the help of someone else, right? And at this point, when I was laughing, when he's thinking back and looking back, he's like, Genya can't help me. And you see Genya climbing down the mountain, so helpless, so helpless. And I'm like, dude, you guys are like doing acrobatics left and right off of freaking dragons and freaking doing all these crazy things, but you can't get down a cliff. Like, like normal? Like, what the heck?
Like you're led to believe that has like super strength. It's like, dude, you couldn't jump down. Like, you know, Nezuko was fine. Like, you would have been fine.
Dude, he had like a ton of holes all over his torso. And he can't jump off a cliff.
I didn't mind at that point, because after that you got distracted with freaking Tokito making a reappearance, but like I was still laughing. I'm like, Genya, what the heck? And then he made them all afraid. Like he's holding onto the cliff and he's looking around like, oh, I can't do this. Like, what the heck?
And it looks like he's taking his time too.
No, like what surprised me is that demon, you know, when they fell off that cliff, instead of being like, all right, man, like the sun's coming up, I just gotta like get out of here, like escape. He started like looking for humans. I'm like, dude, like what good would they have done to you? Unless, you know, because we didn't find out he was inside his body. I don't know if it's one of those situations where like maybe that demon doesn't get hurt by sunlight, because technically it's not himself, it's like a extension of himself, and he was technically protected by being inside of him. I don't know, what's your take? And I mean, I don't think so, because Muzan's always like, hey, I always wanted a demon that could walk in the sun, so like that would have been him. So I guess maybe, I don't know, I guess it was bothering me that demon wasn't getting burned as much as Nezuko.
Well, there was that, right? Like, I think that was one of the big questions as I was watching it, because Tanjiro kept on saying like, oh, once Daybreak hits, like we lose them, like they're gonna escape. And I'm like, why doesn't that make the opposite sense, that once Daybreak hits, then they die because they're in the fun, and I mean they're out in the sun? And well, my thoughts are probably maybe once Daybreak hits, maybe they disappear, maybe they kind of go and go into hiding. So he was just probably thinking of maximizing in that. But yeah, no, like you're right, like Daybreak was coming, and maybe it wasn't it was because he was like kind of decapitated or kind of running around with no head. But even though his head, I'm sure, pretty much could see, maybe he didn't he didn't care. Maybe at that point he was just more focused on trying to get those 3 poor swordsmiths, and yeah.
Dude, I'm gonna start saying like my frustrations on this episode, and like part of it was like I was so mad at hatred, because it's like, dude, your whole job was to protect this little fear, you know, demon, demon that's like the main body. And it's like you're too distracted fucking fighting the love Hashira, and it's like, dude, your one job, the reason why you absorb all your other forms was because your one job is to protect this little guy. But I guess the love Hashira was doing such a good job distracting him. Like, dude, I don't know, I don't like that, because to me it's like, dude, you failed at your job, because you should have been
Your
like,
one job.
like your job, like forget the love Hashira, like, dude, they're like conning you, like go after him. And like part of me did expect at a certain point for like that demon to show up to like help him, and the fact that it didn't happen, the fact that we saw how he got killed, I mean, just evaporated, it's like so disappointing again. And it's just like it does leave me with a bad taste for the upper four and upper five, and it's just like I hate it, man. I hate it because I wanted to like the fourth one so bad, but like now I'm like, oh well, you didn't do nothing because your one cool form just disappeared. And like I don't know. That was my one complaint, guys. Like I just did not really like how he ended up going out.
Well, I mean, I definitely agree because, again, for a fight that we've been following for so long, I mean, it is, I think it's just the whole arc in general was a letdown with the overall resolution of the fights because none of them were grandiose. Obviously, Gyoko was terrible. Like, again, it was cool to see some of the abilities that he had, especially when he was trying to be creative, and then Tokito in action a little bit, but it was really not that impressive. It definitely wasn't a Tengen level or like freaking Rengoku level
No.
impressive. And the same thing with the Love Hashira. Like, yeah, like she did great, she did awesome, but all she was really fighting was the freaking wooden dragons or the wooden wizards. And yeah, like you're right, like they're like a freaking Russian nesting doll, and that's all that happened for them. It's just like, oh more, oh more,
Dude,
oh more, and then that's it.
and the way she was like, "Oh, I guess it's my turn to die," and like I was like, "Dude, come on!" Like I think the animation could have, and I understand they're trying to follow the manga, but if you're missing a really good badass fight scene, because everybody's thinking you're gonna get the Tengen moment, it's like they could have just spent a little bit more, like her cutting that demon up, and if she is gonna lose, make it a little bit more like, oh shit, like she gave it all, we saw it, and she's done for. And I understand why she's like making her last like prayers. But again, it was just disappointing because it was just so short and so quick. And I'm like, why even do that? Like, just I don't know. It just left a bad taste in my mouth.
Well,
Yeah, and I completely agree with. I think that this season kind of did a disservice to the story when it came with the demons because of with Gyoko, kind of like how it kind of like depowered him and kind of powered up Tokito to make it so easy for him to kill Gyoko or whatever. And then with this one, it just a lot of it just didn't make sense that it kind of brought the story down because
Yeah.
with everything that you said, like why is this headless demon body chasing around these three things? Because yeah, he said that he didn't have enough energy because the other one took up so much of it. Then why didn't the other one go there or whatever? Because the other one was obviously winning, so he
Yeah.
didn't really have to be there, or he could split up part of it and send some of the other ones over to help with the main body, which is
Yeah.
probably the more important part.
Because I saw some people say that in the last episode, like some of the scenes with the love Hashira and her father, like weren't really there in the manga. So it's just like the idea that, okay, you can follow it, but you can add your own interpretation to make it things a little bit better. Like I definitely hope that they take notes in that and they do some improvement because, again, it could have used a little bit more. The one thing that made me happy, guys, is when we did get the demon's like backstory. Dude, he was the worst kind of human being. Like I thought it was gonna be like a very sad backstory, like, oh, this poor guy got accused of something he didn't do. Like, no, dude, this is the kind of human being
It
that
was my hands.
even in today's world, like I'm like, that's the kind of fucking serial killer mindset that I fear. Somebody that doesn't like, I don't know, it's just it fucking creeped me out. Though, like honestly, he could be just from that backstory point one of the demons that I might end up hating by the time the whole Demon Slayer is over, just because I hated who he was. Like it just bothered me so much.
it was such a letdown. It's like he built up so much and then because I didn't like the flashback at all. I feel like it didn't do anything for him. Like
Yeah.
Raul just kind of like exaggerated at the whole idea of like his idle hands. I'm like, dude, what are you, like Jessica Alba in the freaking Idle Hands movie? But it's like, no, like that whole thing. It's just like, I mean, I feel like just a flashback could at least had more for us to understand
Yeah.
it better because it gave us too much, but not enough explanation. Okay, cool. You have idle hands that do whatever they want. Why? Or maybe don't tell me the whole story, but like kind of lead a little bit more with that, but instead it was just more about how he would just kill people and then he would say he wouldn't kill it. And then that one from the past when they called him a liar. And so it's like, it's just say it's all like bits and puzzles, like, you know, part of puzzles that it just didn't make sense with that.
Well, I just took it as he was just a big fucking liar. Like he would just lie and kill people, and it's just like he was pretending to be blind with these other blind folks just so that he could steal their food and whatever. And the moment he got caught, he like stabbed them, and then he's like, "No, that wasn't me." But he had like this history of doing it town to town, so it's just like, oh my god. And like maybe that's why Muzan must have heard about him and personally went to like turn him into an upper demon. But still, it's just to your point, Ramon, it was a little bit, we could have gotten more too. But again, I just the idea of like a human being into this world being sort of like that, it kind of freaked me out a little.
Well, and see, I was trying to decide, and the reason why like probably talk a little bit more about it's like I was trying to decipher the flashback. Like, why is it really significant? In a way of like what they showed, but even the idea that he still had his deformity or his like growth on his forehead, maybe that is the reason why he kind of hung out with the blind people, right? But also at the same time, you know, right, because that was going to be maybe a group of people that couldn't judge him based on his deformity or based on his like, you know, medical like, you know, whatever he has. And I think at the end of the day, I'm like, cool, that kind of makes sense to me. Like he's with the blind people for that reason. He probably doesn't feel judged, but then you find out he's bad and he's trying to get all away with these things and then blaming it on his hands. Yeah,
he claimed to be blind too, didn't he?
Yeah.
But I think he was just like a fucked up person. That
That's what I'm saying.
That he was just shitty, and then he was kind of like during the flashback, he was kind of like looking back at like what he did when he was a human, and kind of why he was being so hypocritical when he was fighting Tanjiro, because he was or like one of the other personalities, or I think hatred and a few of them probably were yelling at Tanjiro for bullying such a small defenseless whatever, but he was being completely hypocritical because he was doing the same thing. He was attacking them, but then that's how he was when he was alive, like as a person.
Yeah, he was garbage,
completely hypocritical and just like a piece of shit.
Well, dude, no, go ahead.
I said, so there will be a mystery there that maybe we won't find out ever, because I mean that could have came from the fact that maybe he did get hit and that was a giant ass contusion when he was younger from being bullied for real, that then made him a bad like person, but we will never know. So right now he's just like shitty.
And I mean, his whole like demon powers, the fact that he can do multiple personalities or multiple emotions. Maybe we didn't get a flashback where it's like he had multiple personalities, but I mean, they're even sort of hinting at that idea. What I was gonna say is just like, dude, let's get at it, man. Let's talk about the best part of this whole episode and take as much time as you want, man, because I don't know. Well,
I'll say before that. So I kind of have not a theory, but like I'm wondering something. Yeah. So with Muzan, so the flashback that they had with Muzan when he was like, I guess a regular person, but he was getting some medicine from a doctor or whatever, that was kind of making him weak, but then he was able to be around or whatever, and then that's what happened. That he stopped taking the medicine. And then he got stronger, but then he couldn't be in the sun. Did you guys ever see him actually try to like put his finger or his hand in the sun or anything like that?
I think he was playing around with that idea, that sun. But I mean, I wasn't even talking about like, and I don't know which part you thought I was going to start talking, Ro, but I just meant like the part before even Tanjiro decap. Like I'm talking about, you probably thought it was like, I'm almost wondering what part you were talking in your head. My part that I was talking about, the biggest part of the episode was when Tanjiro and Nezuko, for me it was when Tanjiro and Nezuko were like, you know, debate, like Tanjiro was debating whether he was going to go and help. Oh, okay then.
But before we talked about that, I wanted to talk about that thing because I think like, well, the one thing that I wonder, since we never saw him actually try to be in the sun, I wonder if for some reason, like he just formed some weird phobia of being in the sun, and and the sun doesn't actually do anything to him.
Wait, you're talking about in his flashback? In his flashback, he starts in the sun. Like his flashback starts with him standing in the sun, like when he's 1,000 years ago.
But he's saying after he took the medicine, became a demon. I felt like, you know, and this is where like I maybe could have, you know, paid a little bit of attention, but I felt like he was like he was standing in a place where like if he was just to go a little bit more, like an inch more, like the sun would hit him. I mean, he has to.
He knows.
He knows. Like, what are we doing here? Oh, he knows.
Yeah.
No, but here's the thing. So like, if I guess I just don't understand why they wouldn't show like what the sun did to him or how he found out that he can't be in the sun.
I guess Nezuko's like that representation of what would happen on him. Because Nezuko, from what you saw, like she was getting burned bad, man. Like I felt so sorry for this girl.
Well, no,
For a couple.
I know, but I don't know. I guess it was just like I don't understand why they wouldn't show like one of his fingers or whatever being burned, and then that caused the whole thing. But like they never showed any of that, so like it makes me wonder like if he really does that or if he just developed some sort of weird phobia.
I'm just gonna go with your theory and the fact that he doesn't even know that the sun doesn't hurt him, and he's just like, no, the sun will hurt me.
I think it's definitely the opposite. I think that flashback was definitely meant to make you believe and make you feel like what you already should know is that he is that powerful. Because that whole point of that flashback is by the end of the flashback, he's like, I've gained so much power at this point that the only thing that matters in life is to be more powerful. And that power will come through basically being able to walk through like on this. So like he would have to know if he knew that he was that powerful. But no, I get what you're saying though. But I think if they would have showed the scene with him like getting burned, like his finger burned, that would have shown weakness in the flashback. And I think maybe that's what it is. I think it was just something simple where like, you know, they started with him in the sun, right? And then once they did that kind of like very hidden, he's a demon all of a sudden, and then he's trying to take the medicine. It was making sense to me that he was already weak, that he was frail, that he was about to die. So by the time that he killed his doctor, which he fucked up clearly because that medicine was helping out, then it was kind of a big fuck up moment. But I think from there on, it was just more about how he grew in power, and I think that just would have it would have just kind of made him seem like a little punk to have like a finger burned. But I did like finding out that was like his purpose, right? His purpose is to like both be the most powerful and then also like find out like how to be able to walk in the sun and be able to do that. And I love finding out in that flashback too that he doesn't really like having other demons.
That's what I was gonna say. He doesn't fucking care for them. He just doesn't even want to. He doesn't want to make more. So it almost makes you wonder if this man did gain that ability and he was just all powerful, couldn't die, could walk in the sunlight. What would his like goal be? I feel like eventually you need servants. So he might have eventually created some, maybe out of just like, hey, I need people to do my bidding for me. But yeah, I did like that idea. This like, I don't even care for these demons. Like, that's not what I want at all.
You know who he became to me like now, like in my head, is Orochimaru. Because Orochimaru was using like people and freaking ninjas to do his experiments because he ultimately wanted to be like, you know, immortal. And it's kind of the same thing too, right? The only thing stopping Muzan from being even more immortal, I guess, in a sense, is the sun, because the only thing he supposedly is weak to is the sun. And yeah, it wasn't until that flashback that I'm like, oh, dude, like he is very much like Orochimaru. He's like, you know, because he doesn't care about those demons. So it does seem like he's willing to sacrifice this, because that's what it is. He's like, he's basically like, I'm willing to sacrifice as many and not willingly, but I'm going to make them until I figure out the cure. And, you know, hence why he was so freaking happy when that scene with Nezuko happened. But
that doctor, man, I wonder if he had ever given that medicine to anybody else. You know, like, again, he called him a bad doctor, but I mean, like, do we really know he's a bad doctor? Maybe he, like, I don't know. I just like, I have to believe that this formula, this medicine that he made, like he had to have given it to somebody else for him to like know that like, oh, this will work. And, you know, if I give it to you, or it has worked in a past patient, but like, I don't know, man. It's just interesting to know that he accidentally created this formula to create demons. And it's just like weird because it's like, okay, I'm trying to save this man. And all of a sudden, like Muzan says it, like I started craving like human flesh. And it's like, it's so fucking crazy. Kind of like, you don't want to call him a zombie, but it just reminded me of like zombie, you know, like somebody takes like the T-virus from Resident Evil, and all of a sudden, like you're more stronger, powerful, but you're craving this human flesh. And then you eventually do turn into a mindless zombie.
So I kind of wonder if I understood the situation differently from you guys, because from what I understood, I feel that like the medicine was kind of keeping him sick, but not a demon. So he could kind of like be in the sun and all that stuff, but he was kind of sick. And then once he stopped taking the medicine, that's when he got stronger. But then he couldn't be in the sun anymore.
That's what I thought too. I thought it was like I thought he like, okay, because again, the flashback again starts with him in the sun. So I didn't think he was like maybe a demon at first, I thought he was just like a normal person at that point, right? Like living his whole life at that point, and he was part of royalty, or at least live in the royal castle or near the royal castle. And then and then all of a sudden he was taking the medicine, which I'm like, okay, cool. Like, what is the medicine for again? Like in my head, I was still kind of really like a little confused, and I could say I'm still a little like vague of like in ideas. I don't know 100%. And then once he stopped taking the medicine, which was supposed to be helping him, that's when he became the most powerful. So to me, it was like Raul's like how he said. I thought it was the opposite. I thought it was like once he stopped taking the medicine, that's when his demon effects came into fruition. But I still don't understand if he was a demon before then. And like Raul said, that the medicine was supposed to be helping against, like, fight the demon in him, but then also making him sick at the same time. So I don't know, Carlos. Maybe that's something that you can share from the manga. I don't know if you know enough.
I don't know if I don't know if they'll ever touch more on his backstory than what we got. And then honestly, like, you know, I haven't Googled it, so I don't even know if this flower is like a real flower where maybe you find out it grows in the tallest mountain of Japan, or maybe it's like from another country across the sea. But like I have no idea, because even that doctor, like, the way they made him look, he did look like like if he was my doctor, I would be questioning, like, do I need to find a second doctor?
Keep in mind that was 1,000 years earlier.
You wake up an hour later after your visit, you're like, wait, what? Like, what happened to me?
Oh my god. But no, that's interesting, man. I like these ideas, because people are definitely gonna start coming up with their own theories. And you know, if you go on somewhere like on Reddit, you'll see like somebody's already like breaking this shit down and giving their own interpretation. But that's the cool thing, man. That's the cool thing about, like, why I love talking about anime movies. It's just like people can have different interpretation. Doesn't mean they're wrong, because unless they 100% tell you, like, yeah, like who knows? Like, that's why they have to like write more and give us more of a backstory, so we can actually get confirmation of what was happening to him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you guys know, tell us, because I want to know more. But yeah, I mean, I did like that flashback a lot. And then even just the scene where he was growing more and more powerful, and then eventually the people found out, and they're like, oh, you're like bringing like shame and all this stuff. And then he fights all the archers, and he just kills them all in one swipe.
Yeah.
There's blood everywhere, and it was just beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And
dude, I when he killed his mom, like his pretend mom, I just kind of think like, okay, is Muzan so evil that the idea of like him not killing these people like could have been considered as a weakness? So he almost has to do it because he's just like, oh man, I'm like the most evil thing in the world, and if I don't do it, it's gonna look like a weakness. So like, I don't know. And then again, when he did kill them, he didn't even care. Honestly, it's just like he did it, walked away, and probably went to the next room to kill his father figure or his stepdad. But it was just like, again, dude, like, I don't know, man. Part of me felt like you took like refugee with these people to hide, and they were treating you like a child, and you understood them, and you understood how much they care for you. And it's just like, dude, don't kill them. But I did love how he just like the mom, like her head just like instant, like done. It's just crazy. That was kind of like a little bit graphic, especially like, Ro, you said that you watch with your son, so I don't know if he maybe remembers that scene or just completely blacked out.
And that still beats me watching like live action movies of people getting decapitated when I was little. That was a little scary. So I'm like, you know, at least this is animations. I think Elias, I mean, you know, he's smart enough to be able to figure that out. So it's like cartoons. But no, I mean, but even like before then, like I know, Carlos, you were gonna get into that magical moment of Tanjiro and Nezuko, but
I'm past it. I don't even want to talk about it.
No, but I'm saying I still was really excited for him to finally get his freaking sword. The sword. I was so excited for him to get the sword. And what was even funnier is that the sword wasn't even done. It wasn't even ready yet. And his swordsmith was so pissed off that freaking Tokito, that Muichiro, like threw the sword, because he's like, what are you doing? It's not done. And he's just like beating the crap out of it, even though he's already like half dying, you know. But it was just really fun to kind of see like freaking Tanjiro finally get his hand on the sword. You know, the Rengoku, like, it's not on there yet, but it still looks really badass. And just the fact that that sword gave him just enough power to finally finish decapitating the fear demon, that was still really impressive. Because, you know, we've been waiting for that moment for so long, and we already did like a couple attempts of decapitation, and this was like the ultimate time. And I'm like, man, okay, great. So this sword is gonna do something. It's actually worth something. It's not just like a piece of garbage, and that's not even 100% to its full potential, you know. So that I was really excited, because hopefully now by the next arc he finally gets to have his sword 100%. But you know, I know he doesn't get to take it home either way, so that kind of sucks.
No,
But
dude. And I just did a quick search of like the blue lily flower, and I guess it's a real flower, and just kind of tells you that, again, they live in Japan, and this flower can be found in South Africa, Australia, and even North America. So if you think about 1,000 years in the past, this doctor was getting his medicine either because he had a connection, but unless Musan was sending his demons to other parts of the world, like, yeah, he was never gonna find it in Japan. So that's kind of interesting to find that out.
no wonder he can't find it right now. Which
Yeah,
that's another cool thing to find out about that. Yeah. But yeah, I
it's a real
mean, and then
flower.
yeah,
Yeah.
oh, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, that sword. I hope it makes a comeback. I was really
Wait,
excited
guys,
when he found it. Yeah,
could we make medicine out of this flower? You thinking what I'm thinking?
what are we gonna call it?
I'd rather not.
No,
I like
I was
going out
thinking
in the sun.
like we might turn into, and get some super cool power, and we
Oh,
might
dude,
eat flesh, but
Maybe we
a
can
little
become
bit.
Blade. No.
There you go.
Yeah.
Just nibble on a little bit of meat here and there. You'll be good.
People are probably screaming at us like, talk about the damn Nezuko scene already.
We don't want to talk about it.
Yes.
No, dude, that was intense. So like that's a part of that. Like, so like my son was just like around or whatever for like a couple hours on Sunday, and then like I was watching it already when he showed up, and then he just like sat there with me watching it, and then like you saw like Tanjiro or kind of seeing like the sun coming up, and then he was like, "Oh, I gotta go like kill this demon that's chasing these swordsmiths or whatever," and then he was running, and then he saw the sun, and uh he was trying to like protect Nezuko, and then she was trying to tell him like, "No, run the other way. The sun's coming up." And then she was trying to like tell him like, "No, look over there." And then you just kind of start seeing like some flashbacks, and then you see the like the burning, and then like he just started going like he was not dealing with it very well.
Yeah, dude. He couldn't
I,
make a choice, and like Ramon, I don't know if you felt like you would have been able to make that choice, but man, it was just I didn't know what was gonna happen, honestly.
I honestly was thinking he was gonna take off his shirt and like throw it over her. That would have seemed a
Yeah, me
logical
too.
thing to
Mm,
do. Like she could shrink. Like in my head, I was already resolving the issue for him because I was invested. I was there with him. I definitely understood the conflict right away. And obviously, I think I would have let those guys die. Sadly enough, if it was really
Hmm.
like more of a tragic situation. But in my head, my solution was take off your fucking shirt. Just put it over her, especially because she can shrink in size, and then you're good. And then go kill the demon. But obviously, what happened was a little bit better because even you got to the point where Nezuko even already knew what really had to happen, right? And this is before she even knew that she can survive
I
that. She was just so
know.
determined to be like, no, you got to go fucking kill that demon. And she kicked him off, and it was a beautiful
I
moment because
know.
he's flying upside down. He's just staring back at her. Everything's going through her head. He's like, oh no, like this is just like this is it, like she kicked me off and I know what she wants to do because she even gives him the signal of just like, just do it. And like, but at the same time, so you have your freaking cheerleader sister over here, like really pumping you up to go kill this demon. But at the same time, you think she's going to die. She thinks she's going to die, but she doesn't care because she'd rather you go kill the demon. It was beautiful. And that's where my tears started coming because I thought she was going to die. And it was more of the whole
I
her kind of
know.
sacrificing herself. It was a big sacrifice on her end to be able to push him off because he couldn't make the decision. He couldn't make the sacrifice. And again, I think it's harder to sacrifice your sibling than your sibling sacrificing themselves. So it made sense, but that's where I started
yeah.
tearing up is when she made the sacrifice, she kicks him off. And then, yeah, I mean, once he's in the air, he just knows it has to happen. Like, so.
I mean, for me, I think it was like the montage of all these scenes where she's been there with him, or she's saved them, or all these like cute little moments, and it's just like, to me, that said like this character's going bye bye, like she's done for. So they're giving us like, they're hitting us hard with like, these are all the
Hmm.
things that should make you sad about this moment, and it worked for me, man. Like that stuff looked amazing. I even thought some of the animation looked better than what I remember when I first watched the first season. So that's me wondering if they did kind of improve on them, at least the color palette on it, to make it a little bit more brighter. But I thought it worked for me. And then like getting Nezuko, like even that scene when like that image of her before she turned into a demon, and like seeing what a pretty young lady she was, and I'm like, oh my god, like this is fucking sucks, man, because we're not gonna see her anymore. She's done for. And Tanjiro knows, like he doesn't want to turn back because he knows that like as soon as he does, like, well, she's not even gonna be there, right? She would have burned.
She's gonna be
completely.
ash.
Should have burned by
She would have
then,
been
yeah.
ash in the wind. So this is crazy, man. It was freaking
Dude,
insane. And
so
in my heartstrings.
So would you say that was her Vaya con Dios montage?
Oh,
I mean,
God.
no, but she wasn't trying to send them off in a like,
Yeah.
you know, you deserve to go somewhere else. That was just like, go fucking get shit done. Don't worry about me. Oh.
Yeah. Well, even with that demon, he kind of like, sorry not to get back on him. He was even wondering like, why am I having these like flashbacks of like, you know, when I first, was human.
Life,
but yeah, why didn't we get a Gyoko one again? Just throwing a tantrum
because
real quick.
Tanjiro wasn't there to give him his Vaya con Dios.
But like that had nothing to do with
sense.
Tanjiro. It's not like Tanjiro was like, all right, your head's on the floor now. Let me give you a speech or, you know, whatever. Like it just happened so quick that even him to himself was like, oh, why am I having these flashbacks? I don't know.
Oh, see, that's something else too. Like freaking from the last arc, that was a beautiful moment when he's like talking to freaking, I forget his name now, but the upper six, or I mean, and you know, like that whole idea of him being able to have like a conversation or at least a final piece with him. But yeah, none of these guys got it. That neither of these guys got it, and then they kind of just went out like hell. But like again, back to Nezuko, like oh my god. But then yes, once you freaking find out that she did survive, and not only that, like she's like basically like all alive, healed. And she's smiling with her pretty fangs, and I'm just like, dude, that was really pretty awesome to see. Because I was trying to figure out what was going on. Because yes, after that, like you said, like that montage, I did think she was dead, or I knew the show wouldn't do that to me. I was fucked up. Don't do it to me, show. But I was like kind of really skeptical, and then I'm like, oh man, so what is this? Like, is this like an apparition? Are we seeing something? Like, what is it? But then you start seeing her eyes are still in demon form. She still has the fangs, but then her skin is back to normal, and I don't think
she's talking.
And she saw, that was like, that's where I started losing it. That's when I was like, wait, what? Like, what's going on? Like, what the heck? Like, that's where it really, I guess the importance of that scene really hit me is when she started talking. Because till that point, I was still confused about what was going on. I was really afraid that it was going to be some like, oh, I'm in a middle world or something, like, you know, come get, like, I don't know. I just thought like a weird ghost and like a spirit, like transcending, like, freaking like so anyway, so yeah, at the very end, and then when she started speaking, it just kind of like I broke down a little bit more again because I was really excited. I kind of knew a little bit of what it meant in the sense of like, holy crap, like she's somewhat more in control of her like demonic power, and that's, you know, clearly important.
I wonder if that's a case with her because she never actually killed anyone or like any people.
Well, it's weird because, you know, we got that scene with that lady trying to explain why maybe this could have happened. And then it's also weird because Nezuko's, you know, blood demon art has always been like something with blood. So I don't know if that even has something to do with it. The fact that Muzan always wanted to create a demon that could walk on, you know, kind of walk on the sun. Because now we're led to believe that if he wants to walk on the sun, all he has to do is absorb her, which is going to be kind of interesting because I don't think I've ever seen him do that before. And we also got a confirmation of like how he's able to turn humans into demons. I guess he's able to just like scratch them, which kind of also makes me believe like, do these guys, did they never get scratched the whole time they were fighting like demons like Tanjiro? Like, did he never really get scratched? Or was it like you purposely have to have that mindset, like I'm scratching you to turn you into a demon? And again, more questions that I don't want to really think about right now.
Maybe it's like one for all that you gotta have the intention to pass on the power.
Like here's some of my hair in your body.
Eat my hair. No, but like, you know, I absolutely like that scene where is the girl that like is examining her blood. I think that is kind of what it was basically saying, that at this point, like her regenerative powers of the blood are really like grand, and I don't know if it is because she doesn't eat humans, but I think it's just more so that like who she is, right? Like so far she's been, because of Tanjiro, she's been able to really fight off the urge to like eat flesh, and she's done so good at it, and now she's kind of fighting for a cause of like, you know, like for the better good. And I think it's just like her evolution as a being that is kind of causing her blood to mutate with her. And I mean, ultimately, like she's a freaking daywalker now, which is pretty awesome.
No, dude, like something that I was wondering with you know, Nezuko, that I guess I just gotta kind of think about it a little bit more, but it's just like I don't know, I guess I just like I'm curious to see what's gonna happen with Zenitsu Caesar, because obviously there's like he's gonna be even more in love with her. Like they just made her even cuter. They made her even cuter, and you know, like something that not Tanjiro is supposed to be doing, and he didn't do it with these upper demons. He's supposed to be collecting their blood. So there was no moment where he collected the blood of the upper five or the fort. So it's just kind of like that whole experiment that he's supposed to collect them and give them back to that lady. I guess we're kind of done with that. Like he doesn't need to do that anymore because clearly he didn't collect the blood. So I don't know where that's gonna fall. Now that the fact that he didn't do a good job of collecting.
I totally forgot about that too.
I mean, that's the ultimate goal in the show, and that's I also like what I liked about that whole scene is just that he did reference that again, right? It's like if Nezuko is dead, what's the point? Because I've literally been doing this whole thing because of Nezuko and trying to like get her back to being human. So it's like, yeah, maybe there's not a like a point of him continuing to send the blood back because they're like blood, I guess, is more superior, but like, you know, she's still not human. Like she's maybe like halfway there now, which again, if I was Tanjiro and Nezuko and I'd be like, that's pretty cool. You cool with that? Like stay demon. Okay, cool. But I mean, clearly they probably still want her to like go back to being human so she could live like, you know, again, my thoughts for the next arc. And if it involves like, I mean, it has to involve them, right? But like, my thoughts for that is like, what else can she do now? Like, is it just her walking like in the sun, like being exposed to it? She can obviously speak again. So what are we gonna start having conversations about her experience? Like, you know, like in my head, it's just like, man, okay, so cool. This has happened. This is so significant for the next arc. And I hope that it is really significant in the arc and that they at least, you know, I know you said it has to do more with the training, with the Hashira training. And I think the Infinity Castle too is a big part of that arc as well.
I mean, I think after that, that's what's going to get a little bit weird. Because if the next arc is going to be the training, then I think after that you might get the Infinity Castle arc. So man, like, guys, we're gonna be old, man, by then.
Dude. And also at the end of like after that whole part with Nezuko, she did fall asleep again in her box, so she can still change her size.
Oh yeah, she's still a demon, so she can do all these crazy things. Yeah. I mean, any other cute moments? I know we got that when the Love Hashira comes in, and then she sees that she's talking, and she's kind of like she's shocked by it. And then it's also, I don't know, the part where she like hugs Genya and Tokido, and Genya just turns completely red, which I never like. I don't know. I guess had they hinted that he had a crush on her, or maybe that he's just kind of the kind of guy that if you like put him next to a beautiful woman, he would just like completely freak out.
Well, he already doesn't like contact or like he doesn't like being social, remember? So I think it's just solely on that and the fact that she is like a very attractive woman that it was just kind of like, oh, first of all, I don't like people, get away from me. Like that's literally what he was saying all arc, like just get away from me, don't like people. And even though he was warming up to like, you know, Nezuko and Tanjiro, like ultimately I think to have someone like that gorgeous next to you and be like, what? Okay, I guess. And then red. Like, I did like that freaking Muichiro is like half dead, and everybody's just like, yeah, like half dead Muichiro is still part of our family.
Dude, I wonder if Genya burns. I wonder if Genya burns when he eats demon and the sun comes up. Like, I don't know. Like, by then, was he like completely out of demon form?
Maybe that's why he was having trouble climbing down.
Oh yeah,
he was already out of the demon form.
That could be a regular dude.
But again, Tanjiro doesn't have demon form, and that dude's always jumping around everywhere and doing all kinds of stuff. Like
it's the breathing. It's the Demon Slayer breathing.
Oh, that's true. Because Genya doesn't have any type of breathing either.
Yeah. Well, Tanjiro at the end, he got like his flame mark, man. Again, so freaking cool. Like I don't know how many times he got it this whole season, but like I do love his flame mark the most, just because when you combine it with blood, it looks so cool. Yeah, when he did the final slash, I think he had the flame mark on it.
I didn't look at his thing.
And it's nice to see that too. Like he's doing all these like sun breathing techniques without any hesitance anymore. Like he doesn't have to think about it. He just does it. To the point where even I missed it too. Like I think one of the first slashes that he did when he first went to like break the thing. I also was like, wait, that was sun breathing. I'm like, okay, this boy is just like freaking busting out left and right.
Dude. I say we skip the final scenes where it's just like Tanjiro, getting like loved by all the swordsmith, and it's just like I feel like that was like the studio being like, yeah, we did a great job, and they're like almost like kissing their own ass. But I say we skip that and we talk about in general about like the whole season, because I feel like if we don't do it right now, we're not gonna get a chance. And I think for me the highlight of it was the Sun Halo dance, or I don't even know that's what it was called, that Tanjiro did. That would be like a highlight for. Yeah, the dragons. Dragon. I think it was Sun Halo Dragon something, but to me that was like it's gonna be a highlight of the season. But any highlights, anything you guys want to talk specifically about?
Well, I mean, I think it's that, like I just mentioned, I think it's just seeing that Tanjiro is finally elevating his game, and things I think are making more sense to him. Like the reason why he went to the Swordsmith village is because he was going to get his sword. Well, not only did he get like a sword, he's getting like this amazing sword that it is from his like ancestors. And so I think like that whole idea of him growing as a character is like so significant to me, because like again, we're here for Tanjiro 100%. Like this is not like freaking Evangelion where you're watching and you're like, fuck this guy. Like, we do care and we do love Tanjiro. And I feel like that for me, seeing the way that he was like freaking stepping it up, the way that he fought that fourth upper moon. I mean, most of that fight was him like basically having as much control as he could. Like he was, he did so much with the different forms. Like when he was fighting Joy, in general, he was thinking on his feet, like so many impressive things that he was doing that like Genya can't compare to Nezuko. Clearly, obviously she's amazing, but she's not doing things like to that level. And even like freaking Muichiro. So from what we saw of him, I was not as impressed as I was with Tanjiro's performance.
Yeah.
The love Hashira a little bit more. Like I really like seeing her. I think she was just spectacular, and I think just her ability to like maneuver that sword and do the things that she does, great woman. But Tanjiro still stole the show. So yeah, to me, this arc was just amazing because of his development. Everything else, yeah, I think we can come back to the bad things after Raul.
No, yeah. So for me, actually, like my favorite part of this season is probably like how they mixed in different types of animation, like when the Magikarps appeared. I thought it was super cool, like how different they had the Magikarps, and the personality of the demons was awesome. I love the personality of the two upper demons that they had. I thought it was cool. I love the concept. I hate the execution of like the story and how they were involved with everything, but I thought it was super cool. Like in the beginning, and they definitely made it seem like, oh, this is gonna be this fucking weird. It's gonna be really cool, and I can't wait to see these demons fight, because we just came out of like such an incredible arc with the entertainment district, with everything with the Hashira, and then like that amazing battle that they had, and with the two demons. And then like how strong they were, and then like how much it took out of everyone to try to beat them. And then like at the end of it, they were just pretty much collapsed, like pretty much just practically almost corpses. And if it was different for Nezuko, they would have died from the poison or whatever. But then here it was just like Tokido killed the upper five, kind of like nothing. After he remembered his past. He after he had his Simba moment, and then the I don't know, and then just like the lack of sense that the upper four, like that part had, kind of like took me out of it and kind of took a lot away from the fight that they had before that.
No,
if
I
you
think,
guys,
yeah.
I was gonna say, if you guys, go ahead.
Yeah.
One more time.
No, I was gonna say, if you like, especially you, Carlos, because I know you're a fan of Gyutaro, the one from the lower six or whatever his name is. Like you would replace him for one of these guys, right? Like absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Even Rui, the spider like demon dude. Like I feel like he was more formidable than these guys turned out to be. I mean, again, the four upper moon, I think he still was great in the original build up to where we were at, but once you hit hatred and he did his initial attacks after that, like I'm like, at least remove the upper five. I think we could get rid of Gyoko and his like.
Well, dude, because what I was gonna say is like, I think what really made the season terrible is that they kept splitting the fights between what was happening with Tanjiro and what was happening between Tokido. If somebody could make a perfect cut of when the upper four walks into the room and Tokido splits him and then just continues the fight scene with just him and ignores all the Tokido other scenes. And if I could get like maybe like a 45-minute cut of that, I think I would be very impressed with all the action scenes, everything that happened, the way the storyline was moving. But the fact that like some of these episodes, like I think Tokido took out like 2 episodes in the middle, or maybe like one and then another half of another one before Tanjiro came in. And it's just like, that's what to me made it like not a great season. Because if we are gonna go do this going forward, and there's gonna be multiple fights happening. Like I need you to focus on one fight before you move on to the next. I can't have you being like 5 minutes with this fight, 5 minutes for the next fight. Like I just can't have that. Like it will get so annoying to be talking about this show, and we're just like, oh my god, like here we are, 10 episodes, and we're still kind of like focusing on the one fight. Because like Ro, you mentioned that the last fight was so cool with Tengen, and if you think about it, that last fight was probably just one episode, and it was so freaking cool. Like one episode done, and we still talk about it. Here we had like 10 episodes, and it's like, how can I talk about this when it was just like all over the place, and there was some cool scenes, but it never gave me anything that it kind of makes me a little bit nervous that if the momentum for Demon Slayer is going to go down a little, just because this season's going to be a disappointment, and they were already getting flagged for the movie they released, so they got to do something to win fans back, man. They have to do like a completely brand new story and just put it in the movie theaters to get people really excited about these characters in this world again, at least for me.
Or like you said, an edit of like the fight scenes here, and so like I'm still okay with like a flashback here and there, but I think I don't know. I think you put it really great, because I think that is the main problem, that it just, you had me so distracted that I didn't pay attention 100%, and I forgot some great like parts of the fights, but yeah, maybe that's what it is, and that makes me afraid too, because if the next arc is really going to be about more people in general, like more Hashiras in a sense, that makes it so difficult, because we spend so much time each episode learning someone new or seeing their story, and then it's almost like, oh, you spend like first 5-6 episodes like talking about all these different things, and then at the end you're going to put them together. I'm like, by that point, like I don't remember what happened in the first one, like like we'll see.
Dude, if I knew at one point this was going to turn into Lost and every episode was going to be just a flashback scene, like I probably would have like fell off on the first season. But the first season didn't have these like major flashbacks. And you're right, Ramon, the next season, if it's going to be like, here we got the Stone Hashira and this is his backstory, here's the Wind Hashira, and then his side, his point of view when he was killing the mom. Like I don't need it, man. Like I need you to move forward with the action and just move the story along. Not because I want it to end, but you do need to make it a little bit more entertaining. And I don't know, man. We'll see what we get. But I'm not completely off the Demon Slayer train. But I am hoping that they can really deliver on the next couple of seasons, because I think this one, when I look back at it, it's going to be kind of maybe sort of a fail for them.
This arc, oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think the big problem too is that they kind of did so well previously that like now things are struggling to kind of live up to the standard that they set, because like the big movie that they had was the Mugen Train, and that was a great movie, and then with like a whole story with Hashira and the upper third demon, and then like the other demon that they had on the train were like all the supporting cast, and it was a great story, and it was all in one movie. And then like the previous seasons were good, and then like now this season's struggling, and then the other movies also kind of struggled, because
we just told Ramon this multiple times, but normally anime movies, Ramon, like they're in a completely world dimension, like they're never connected. And Demon Slayer is like, I give him props to doing Mugen Train, and it's based on the story, and it actually like was really great. But now knowing that on the last one they kind of just did it for a money grab, I'm like, if you guys can put 120 minutes for a good storyline of one of the arcs, then just don't do it. Don't do it. If you're gonna do a movie, do your own completely different story. Make it like a different side story with Tanjiro. But like, stop doing that, because it's gonna piss people off, man. I just think it's gonna upset them, or it's not gonna make me buy a ticket. If you want my money, you gotta do something different.
Give me a movie for each Hashira, and I'll go watch it. And then give me a regular season so I could go watch some fight scenes.
Well, kind of like a prequel movie for each Hashira or whatever that kind of shows who they are.
Yeah. Well, dude, I just found this out, and I don't know if there's like a secret chapter that I have to go look for, where I guess there was a backstory to Rengoku's dad, and how he used to be like so freaking strong that he went up against like an upper moon 2 by himself, and the only reason that he started like falling apart because his wife died and depression hit him, and all of a sudden he couldn't like perform his duties because he became an alcoholic. And there were scenes where he would go save people, but he would be carrying like a bottle of like whiskey or whatever they drink over there.
I want that story.
So it's like, dude, yeah, like we already seen his father. People love Rengoku, so like give me the scene of his dad fighting this upper 2 moon that I guess it's not even one of the current ones, some other different
really?
one. But and again, I have to do my research to see where that story plot came from, because again, you see so much like on TikTok, Instagram Reels that you don't even know what's real, what's not. But that interested me.
Yeah, dude, that would be a great story. It's like a Thomas Wayne type of thing where it's just like,
Yeah.
and even now, like if you just like you said, like separate, like you don't need it to be part of the same, even if it's still somewhat canon in a weird way, like outside of it. But it, we don't need it along with the seasons and the actual anime. Like I just love to read it too.
Yeah, and then now too, I think we finally saw what anime movies can be, where they're actually canon, like with the Mugen Train, with the Jujutsu Kaisen,
yeah.
And then like some of these movies that are canon and they add more to the show. That like now when we have these like side quest filler type of movies, then because like I just saw the Black Clover one, like it really it doesn't add anything to the show. So like it kind of just
Yeah,
I
it
don't
leaves you
know.
disappointed. Because even the Jujutsu Kaisen movie, because I saw it after I had seen the first season, but now that I'm doing my rewatch, it was really cool to see hints of that. The one character they focus on in the
Mm-hmm.
first one, and they say like, "Oh yeah, last year we had this training exam with the different schools, and because of him, they won it." But they're like, "Oh, this time he's not here," and like I never really picked up on who he was or what. But like now that I
Mm-hmm.
know who he is, like
Yeah,
yeah,
because of
like
the
once he
movie, yeah.
comes back for the second season, I'm gonna be really excited. And I don't know like how that's gonna work with Itadori and him. Like who's gonna be the main character that I'm following?
Probably still Itadori because he's eating all the
Itadori.
fingers.
Cool, all the fingers. But guys, we did it. Group hug. I love you. I freaking love you. I can't wait to do more
Hey.
videos with you guys. But Demon Slayer, you're good to me. Keep at it. Just I want you to be a little bit better.
Shape up a little.
Yeah, keep
Uh,
maintain the standard. Don't drop the standard.
don't drop the standard, man, because you got fans. I'm buying all your figures, man. So like, I know you're getting my money. All right, guys. Well, this has been Carlos. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Hey, see ya.
Peace.